Hey everyone, Melissa here. It's been a little while since I videoed myself in a conversation, having conversational videos. I do the quick, short ones. I just did one about consumerism overloading. You can check that out. So let's get down to business. Today I'm talking about marriage, and this is the most important decision after salvation in Christ that you're ever going to make in your life. And this is something that we don't talk about enough. We don't help couples, we don't help kids, we do not help people prepare enough for marriage. It's a lifelong commitment. There's many things that come up that people need support with. They need help, they need counsel. And I know a lot of people will get this in churches, but that's not always something everybody can, or Christianity is not something that is in everybody's life. A lot of times books are really great, but it used to be family used to teach their children about marriage. They used to raise girls a certain way and guys were raised a certain way, and it was very easy in different ways to know how marriage is supposed to work. So I think this may be something I want to start sharing a little bit more about in my life and my story, my marriage story, and just talk about this. So what we want to do is we want to be able to get all the support we can get. So we have family dynamics, and a lot of times we come from families that we were really not taught how to do marriage. I know for me, I had, I didn't really have a lot of real good examples in marriage. My grandparents had annulled their marriage with the Catholic Church when I was growing up. So I remember seeing like my grandparents, and not understanding this as a kid, maybe I was 12, seeing my grandparents separately, and my grandmother with her boyfriend and my grandfather with his girlfriend, and that was really kind of confusing as a kid. And then I remember like I had one uncle, my favorite uncle, who was married 3 different times. I had aunts and uncles married 3 different times. He had married 2 different times in different relationships along the way. I had a great uncle, and they had divorced when I was growing up, like after 30 years, 25, 30 years. And back then in that culture, nobody could figure it out. I had heard she had a midlife crisis or something, and off she went on the crazy side or whatever. So we hear things. I had another aunt who had like an awful marriage. I mean, I think he kidnapped her kid and their kid and ran off, and the police were looking for the kid when I was a kid. Then I had an aunt who divorced, another one who had a tragedy where her husband was killed in a motorcycle accident. She never remarried. I had like 9 aunts and uncles that were in my inner circle with their crazy lives. I had, another aunt marry like 3 different times. An uncle who married my aunt on the other side of the family, which was really confusing. And on it went. And then you see marriages where an aunt marries a much older man, and they say that is usually someone looking for a father figure. So we have all this stuff going on with marriage, and I'll stop there because I don't need to go on about it. But I do know like every single marriage around me had broken, except one that had stayed together. But other than that, that was in that family, every single marriage was a divorce. So when you grow up seeing that, marriage is like a piece of paper. It doesn't really mean a thing in that culture, in that kind of perspective. And it's a really low view of marriage. I mean, I've run into people recently who feel marriage is just a piece of paper. Once you sign that piece of paper, it all goes downhill. And I think that is a common, thinking in our culture right now. Why get married? And I heard that common law marriage is no longer around. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I heard. So why be married? I know when I was growing up, I did not have like the vows when I did get married that a lot of people have in the church. I wasn't married so-called before God and had all the vows. When I got married, we just wanted something real simple. It was in a house, it was by the pool, it was, we actually had a justice of the peace marry us. And then I found out later that she actually had let her license expire. So I actually wondered if I was really married for a time. I actually thought when things got hard, I could get out of the marriage. I thought it was an annulment kind of clause. So anyways, crazy stuff I started with in my marriage. So now it's going on 30 years, and with moving, it's been, moving when you, as I shared in my other videos, have a situation where the landlord's selling and he wants you out in 30 days. It's very stressful, especially in this economy, trying to find housing in the housing crunch. So that can add to marital stress. You have different situations going on when your kids are growing up that can add to it. And what you want to do is you want to build really strong in life so that your marriage can weather the storms. And when my husband and I, we've known each other since like second grade, and we used to go to school together, and then he used to pick on me with his friends, and they all picked on me. They said I had cooties, and I used to go home crying. And I had an aunt who would say, Melissa, if the boys pick on you, it's because they like you. And that was like my first, I think, bit of advice about boys. So that was that. And then in about sixth grade, they stopped picking on me, and they started liking me. So, it was all kid stuff. It was just, so-and-so's going out with so-and-so. And that was just, there was nothing. It was just like silly little kid stuff. So then in eighth grade, we had dated just for one day, and I broke up with him. And then high school, we were friends as I dated others. And so when we started dating together, we were friends first. And then we had a lot of dating time, which that's something that you can go back to in your marriage, like how it started. And we were always together. Like going to the movies, swimming at the pool, just always together. So that was the beginning, and that's how it started. And then, let me see. There wasn't a lot of marriage advice. It was kind of like if there's something that you don't like, you can change your husband. And that's something that I would not recommend, getting married thinking you can change someone, because you can't. And it's not really, going to work if you do. We all are responsible for changing ourselves. So, the first year of marriage is the hardest, they say, and I believe it's true. It was the hardest for us. And then we had our kids come along really quick, so it was a lot about them. We had 3, boom, 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 come along. And then there wasn't much of a break there. And then there was a crisis with a cancer that my husband had. And then there were 2 more. We were told we couldn't have more kids, which is amazing that we did. And then there were the older ones growing up after homeschooling them, things going on with them, one serving in the military, and some other things, and different issues with different things going on. So sometimes a marriage has a lot of weight on it. It's like more than the normal marriage. It's, you know, there's family dynamics, there's stuff going on in your family, and you don't get much of a break. So you really want to be able to stay on top of this. And I think if you stay pulled in for the most part, you can really succeed with the things that happen. When you get married, you have no idea what's going to come your way, and you really want to be strong. So for me, I read a lot of books about marriage. I've taken classes about marriage. One class that was really good was Love and Respect by Eggerichs. That was talking about how men need respect. They need it like the air they breathe. Women need love. They need it so bad. So that was a great book. I probably could go through some time with more books that I would recommend. And then recently I was looking through my email, and this lady I met just by chance, and she is on my email, and she gives great tips. And I'm going to get into that another time, just about the tips she gives, especially as your marriage grows and you're older. There's the littlest details that matter. So as you get older, and I'm going on 30 years of marriage, the intricacies, the little details, the intimacy hopefully you start getting past the difficult times and get to intimacy at a deeper level. Let me see, there was another resource I was thinking of, but I lost it. I should write it down. But so I think in the future, what I want to do is I want to offer marriage advice with coming from a background where marriage is not valued. And we live in this culture nowadays where people just don't always get married, where marriage is looked down upon, where marriage is, just not a priority, to valuing marriage and appreciating one another. And how do you make it work where you come from a family of all divorce to taking that, turning it around, and moving it into building a family that's going to last. Okay, thanks for joining me, guys.